Hey lovelies, today it's the new moon in Pisces and I'm making this video for the White Wizard Wavespell. It's Sunday, February the 19th, and I had hoped to make a video at the start of the Wavespell, but life is very dynamic for me at the moment and just haven't been able to find the time to sit down and make a video. Today I've also got a workshop that's starting in an hour and a half. So that's 11 a.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time in the US, and 7 p.m. in the UK London time. So there's still time for you to join me if you wish, and I will have to get your cosmic codes to you over the next couple of days. But the most important thing about these workshops is actually clarifying what is getting in the way of being an empowered human being and letting the magic flow through us, which is what White Wizard, the Moon Goddess 13-day process is all about. So the workshop will focus on something that you can focus on whether you join me or not. Is here we are today so we're on the 17th day of the initiation. Okay, so the initiation began on the 3rd of February in Aquarius energy, and we had a portal day to launch that, what the Great Mother is bringing us for our conscious evolution. And then we went through those first 13 days right down to Red Skywalker. Here we go. And by the time we got to Red Skywalker, so 3rd of Feb, so that would have been the 16th of Feb. Yeah, no, it wouldn't, because what day we're on today? Yeah, 16th, 17th, no, the 15th of Feb. Hard to cross-correlate off the top of my head still the dates with the Gregorian calendar and the Mayan calendar. So by the time we got to Red Cosmic Skywalker, we were ready to shift that energy as to what had happened in the first 13 days so that we can align with these new codes coming in. So in this first 13 days, we had an awakening to survival issues. And so by now, you will have that information if you're willing to look at it. So this type of work, this type of attention is often the opposite of what most people have been conditioned to work with and believe in. It's looking at what isn't working, because what isn't working holds the key, holds a secret to where we need to do some inner work. So by the time we get to White Wizard, so today is the 19th, we're on day 4, so that's 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th. Yeah, so the last one finished on the 15th, which was an amazing day. Hope you had an amazing day, because Venus in Pisces was conjunct Neptune in Pisces. And in plain language, that means it was a very expansive energy, looking at what we value, what we love, about our compassion, our vision, where we want to create heaven on earth for ourselves through us, through learning how to do that as a conscious dreamer, so that most of our life will have been largely unconscious. We may not have been aware of patterns. We may not have been aware of the consequences of the choices that we made, or our epidemiology, our genes. We may not have realized how we are a powerful creator And I believe that we're here to understand how our ancestors have created life so far, why they have, having a deeper understanding, how the human being works, the mind works as a dreamer, as a creator, as an extension and embodiment of the divine. So we're here to do that as a Skywalker. And then how to now, in the next 13 days, so we're going from number 14. So the first 13, basically, the first 12 is the human being. That takes us to yellow human. Then we have red Skywalker, which takes us through to what do we shift in the first, what do we become aware of? So looking at the astrology, so our delusions, our illusions, how we've come to often be in denial as a protection mechanism, that we can't cope with what's going on the planet or in our life. We don't know how to handle it. So at that point, this is, another way of looking at it, the universe giving us a prod. So you're running an old code there. You're running an out of date, past its sell-by version of a way a human being lives according to your ancestors. And you now have an opportunity to become comfortable with the uncomfortable, because the uncomfortable is showing you the growth area. It's showing you where you need to make a shift, change, evolve, and align with the new code that's coming in. And the new code is magical, it's powerful, it's how we birth the new earth, which is what today is about. I'll come back to that in a minute. How do we create this through us as a human being? Because we literally, as women, give birth to human beings. So that's a very physical embodiment. And at the moment, as far as I know, that's the only way that a human being does come in. So at the moment, whatever AI is going on, as far as I know, still has to come through a mother. And there's lots of different ways that can evolve after that happens. Of course, we can go into different birth families, etc. But that's a real key point. So we come in with a code that we've inherited, that's in our biology and that's in our belief systems. And that's further reinforced as we grow up in whatever society we're in. And because of the people that are around us who are showing us a mirror, they're reflecting something back to us around all those old beliefs. And then whether we choose to take them on or not is a different matter. And as we mature as a human being, then we can come into empowerment by knowing that there is a process for the human being that is beyond all these conditioned programs. So that in itself is an awakening. And many people are awakening to that now, realizing that the life that they have been living is not the truth. It's simply a version of human being living. And at any point, we can choose to design, rewire, reverse engineer, because the tools are out there to do that now. We've been around for a long time in different formats and variations. But chances are, if you're watching this video, then you're ready to do this sort of work. So emotional freedom technique is the one that I use, very powerful. I've studied lots of different techniques and they all work in different ways. But this way of using EFT, using the movie technique to work on whatever's come up in these first 13 days helps us understand come into acceptance and forgiveness. Stop doing delusions and illusions and get on track. Another time, big time for getting on track is if you're around the age of 41, 42, because that's your Uranus opposition. So if this is you at this time and you're having lots of challenges, then it's a really good time to work with this energy. So we get to step 13, we've got the initiation, we've got the awakening for the whole 260-day process, which is in Aquarius. And Aquarius on one level is aligned to Uranus, which is today's energy. It's aligned to bringing enlightenment, and so getting off the Saturnian wheel, healing the Chiron bridge, so the wounding process. We've got Chiron in Aries, lots of dynamics going on around that with Jupiter in Aries, so becoming a master of that process. And then really working with being solution focused from a clearer space, because we have shifted the cognitive dissonance that our ego has created for us in order for us to survive. So yes, we've got through it, but we're not thriving because we're still doing a lot of old habits and behaviors and belief systems that aren't creating sovereignty for us. So in other words, we're on a codependent pattern. Somebody else is telling us who we are, how we be healthy, what we eat, you know, what we do, where we work, in ways that doesn't feel empowering for us. So back to today. So then we go, after that, we go on to, these are the what I call the 7 solar seals, and focusing on, okay, so how do I now work with this first information to become empowered and let the magic flow through me? A white wizard actually flows. She's a moon goddess, Ixchel. Check her out, Google her. There's lots of information. She's the midwife in us that says, get to know your moon story, get to know your mother's story, get to know your emotional story, know what your triggers are, because they are the magic keys that are going to set you free from your past and from living in this way. And she runs right up here to Cosmic Skywalker, which is a clear sky sign. Sorry, I got the words out today. A clear sign. And also one of my friend's signs. So again, great to use the calculators. So anybody that you meet, anybody in your family, you can start mapping your constellation and you can understand who they are mirroring in your childhood, why they're coming in, and then you're coming into a place of knowingness on a whole different level. Also using astrology. And so when somebody comes into our circle, we can then map the code. And the more that you map, the deeper you go. Okay, so a clear sign relates to Pakal Votan's tomb in the Temple of Inscriptions. If you go on our website, flowwithjo.com, and you look up 13 clear signs, there's more information. Not every wave spell has a clear sign. It doesn't have one in the first 13-day process. So Cosmic World Bridger is the first one. So as we go through the initiation, which is what are we now refining? How are we getting to the truth? How are we being the moon goddess and rebirthing ourselves? And each one of these has planets. So her planets are the asteroid belt, and where asteroids are in your natal chart is an amazing way to look at patterns and codes and figure out what your mission impossible is in this lifetime, should you choose to accept it. Which of course is what we're here for at this time. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, of course it's challenging. This is thousands of years worth of programming that we are rewiring, you know, so it's intense. And if you use emotional freedom technique, you can work with anything to, first of all, restabilize your sat nav, your emotional sat nav, because when we go into denial, it just really messes our system up. And yes, it's survival. Yes, we're still alive, but often we're running lots of very unclear programs. We're doing lots of behaviors that are just keeping us stuck in a cycle, and we're not being able to really open our hearts and connect and resource ourselves in terms of what is the truth here. You know, that's a tricky question, isn't it? What choice should I make? How can I possibly do my dream? Who am I? You know, we're running all these programs around often people in our family because, hey, you know, again, if you're watching this, you'll have chosen a tricky family to incarnate into, because you need to understand how all this dynamic works on a very experiential level, so that you know how to develop techniques for yourself as to manage these challenging situations in order to become empowered, in order to become liberated, confident, assured in your power center. And so again, emotional freedom technique will show you, the universe will keep bringing you these challenges, and you will have emotional triggers, and allow yourself to feel. Don't try and figure it out with your head. This is one of the key first mastery of these solar seals. So mastery of the inner workings, so that we're not running around like headless chickens. We're not fighting fires all the time. We're coming into a really calm space quicker and quicker and quicker. And we're managing that child part of ourselves that has experienced trauma, has experienced gaslighting, lots of different untruths, people's projections, and being managed basically often by people who are ignorant. And we're all on that paradigm somewhere. You know, we're all learning new stuff every day. And so I often get surprised. I think I've dealt with something and it comes up again on a deeper level. And so this is constant, you know, we've always been doing that eternally. So why think that we can suddenly get to a point of, you know, I'm complete in this lifetime? We can't, you know, that's not realistic. But what becomes a joy really is you just get to work with your ego more and more, which is a part of you that was formed when you were a child, part of the personality and who you think you are. So this is Chiron in Aries at the moment. Who am I? How do I know who I am? You know, I've been told I'm different things by different people. What do I really believe about myself? That in itself is a whole journey. And that's Red Moon. The more you tap rather than try and do intellectual processes, so the more that you start to rewire yourself, because your survival part of yourself is based often on not feeling, numbing out, disassociating. This is a key thing in therapy. And again, a lot of therapists don't know this, because unless they've focused on their own cognitive dissonance and their own disassociation, they won't have an awareness. So, for example, if you go into a hospital, this took me a long time to figure out. If you're an empath, if you're very sensitive, if you are an energy worker, if you pick up on other people's energy a lot, again, this is a huge discipline that sometimes you need to be able to do that if you're working with people as a therapist, and other times you need not to be doing that. This is so key to today. 0 Pisces energy. Today, the sun is in Pisces at 0 degrees. So it's ground zero, dark moon, not knowing, people coming in, testing your boundaries. And so for me, if I'm working intuitively with somebody, I will open up to them, and I will ask for assistance around what is the pattern, what's coming in. And I don't know exactly how that works, but I trust that it does work, and I've been doing it a long time. So then I can read people's energy, I can read their patterns, and I can help them to understand themselves, not do it for them, you know, not a codependency, which again is so massive for Pisces energy. Not to do things for other people in a way that is unhealthy and can often be a very strong habitual coping mechanism. Something, you know, again, that when we're mothers, we often don't transit out of that, and we try doing that for lots of other people. This is a very common pattern in therapy. So it can be tricky to understand, you know, what is me, what is you, what is everybody else? Is this my emotion? Am I picking up on other people's emotion? If you're working in a shamanic way as well, so often you may take on other people's energy in order to transmute it. That's very much a key format with emotional freedom technique, and that's very much how I work. When you first start doing this, you're going to get sick, because that's just how it works, because you're going to attract people to you who have huge patterns in the same way that your childhood format has had patterns. And so in order to work with them, you're going to have to shift a lot of stuff yourself. And it's why, if you're working with EFT and you want to go and work with other people, I think I did 100 case studies in 2007, and had to work a lot on myself. And I now notice the difference that, you know, I can tap for a long period of time, and then I can go into a lot of people activity. For example, I can use other parts of my brain where I can think, you know, I can do lists, I can shop. Couldn't do that in the beginning. So if you're just starting on a healing process, be gentle with yourself. It's going to take a while. None of this is instant stuff. But I promise you that if you learn how to tap and you start focusing on yourself and you just set that really positive intention. So this is great, the calendar for working with this every 13 days, because it's from the universe. If I could share with you what I know through doing this for all of this time, you know, I've been working with it. I'm on my 12th year now of just working with it every day. It will change your life, because that's what it's designed for. It's designed for us to get back home. You know, people talk about walking ourselves back home, and I agree. And this is a very proactive process on the inner level. So it's key today to set an intention with the Pisces new moon as well, to dare to dream today. That's what the workshop's about. What is my dream? What have I always been passionate about? And to uncover any limiting beliefs that you may have inherited from your ancestors, from other people in your circle that you haven't yet cleared, so that you can birth the new earth through you, because that's what today is about. Red self-existing earth is a huge energy because it's a 52-day process in itself. And so it's in Yellow Castle. So again, I'm just going to show you that. So we have red, white, blue, yellow, green, red earth. Number 17 is here. And so we're now back in the red. So we had the 52-day cycle. So this is 104 days ago, 104 plus 17. So that's 121 days. So let's have a look. We divide that. So that's roughly nearly 4 months ago, isn't it? Okay, so what are we on now? February, January, December, November, we would have been in red Earth. So I'll calculate that exactly, and I will share that under the video today. I've got to be mindful because I've got to get ready for the workshop and not go on for too long. Okay, so today's dissonance, okay, and number 11 Mayan sign is blue monkey. And so blue monkey is the central column. It's the blue within the blue. It's what we're here to transmute, to become transparent. This is the spinal column, okay? So we begin with the red, we go in, white we transform, white we refine, blue we transform, yellow is manifestation, and green is where we actually are in our heart connection to the galactic sun, free of these old stories. So blue monkey, the 11th Mayan sign, dissonance, what we're letting go of, and Venus is the planet. So we're maturing as human beings. We're learning how we work actually on every level, on a spirit level, on a human level, mind, body, spirit, and how to really work with all these amazing tools that we've got and our support. So the main card for today, the major arcana, is the sun, which is what this process is about. We're in the first 20-day process, the initiation from red dragon at the top. So this is the other process. It's a 2013 process. So we go through all the Mayan signs, 20-day process. So every 20 days, we'll be going to a next level vibrationally. We move down. If you want one of these calendars and you want to start doing the process, and that is really key to doing this, to living with this, there's one on my website, Flow with Joe Resources. And if you want to know more about that, let me know. But you can just print it for free, laminate it, or better still, make one yourself, because it will take you through a full process just doing that. And when I first got this, you can notice that, it's in different pages. I couldn't put this together to begin with instinctively, because of all this information. It's a totally different matrix to get your head around, and that's why it's so important. It's like doing any sacred geometry when you actually start drawing things out. Drunvalo, Melchizedek, for example. Any of these sacred processes, when you actually become them through doing them, like sitting in a labyrinth in the middle, becoming the labyrinth, walking through the labyrinth with an intention, it takes you through a dynamic process in the universe. And so this is about connecting to the goddess energy, rebalancing the sacred feminine, which is Mother Earth, and remembering as a human being, we're made of the earth, we come from the earth. And the earth is made up of the cosmos. It's made up of lots of different bits, stardust. And, once you just think about that very tissue, once you actually think about what is this? What is this? What is the miracle of this? We've forgotten about what a miracle we are. So Google this. EliTarotStrikingly.com is the one I use because he's amazing and gives you a plethora of things to chew over if you want to go in depth, and you can really go in depth with these cards. So the sun. So as I said, 20-day process, red dragon to the sun. The sun is Pluto. We've got Pluto in the late degrees of Capricorn. It's going into Aquarius just after the spring equinox, and for a long period of time after December 2024. So we're going to be bobbing in and out, seeing where we are as an individual and as a collective. Remember, collectives make come from the individual. Again, this is Aquarius. Aquarius is about self-individuation. That's what the energy is about today. Individuate, become a human being in a whole different way, and free ourselves up from fear, become more and more open, able to share your lovely self, your intimacy, be vulnerable with people who it's safe to do that with. That's another key thing, isn't it, for Pisces energy. Often people become addicted to things or people, behaviours, in order to feel safe. And remember, on one level, this is just going back to childhood. It's what we learned in childhood. And the world historically has been a very unsafe place because there's things happen on the earth that have created patterns around trauma. So, for example, you know, what's going on over in Turkey and Syria, and the heartbreaking tragedies that have happened there, and how people have taken that on and haven't ever healed that or released that. And remember that we're in a holographic universe, so it's this wheel, this cycle that goes round, and in order to get off that, it does take work. When people have had people close to them that have been involved in very traumatic things, they hold that energy in their body, and you know, it's just how our body's designed. So it's very important to allow our bodies to go through a grieving process, but then not get stuck in it and not get stuck in PTSD. Most people don't understand that PTSD is not just something people experience if they go to war, for example. We all experience different levels of PTSD in our body, and understanding that and how to transmute that when it's the right time is a mastery empowerment process. And it helps us to keep the wheel going within us so that we don't shut down and we don't keep running this program of depression where we've got anger, we've got sadness, you know, that isn't being released. This is one of the key things working as an emotional therapist that I've learned over many years is people are afraid to let that emotion go, and for lots of different reasons. So, for example, it may have been worse for them as a child if they cried. They may have got ridiculed. They may have got bullied even more. So each individual is an individual, and EFT will help each individual to understand themselves and to transform themselves to live the life that they are magically able to access, to be the true gift that we are here to be, you know, to enjoy life. We're not our mother's story, we're not our father's story, we're not our great-great-great-grandfather's story, but we are until we understand how that process works within us and how we can clear it. So we've also got Princess of Wands. That's a magical sign. Like that fire goes with the sun. Oppression. So again, thoughts about oppression. Oops, upside down. How we've been oppressed. So how to become empowered is to heal our empowerment issues. We're in a 13-year cycle of this that began in 2019. So of course it's going to come up. And Knight of Swords. So again, anything to do with swords, thought processes. What do we believe about ourselves? What have we been told? What have we been conditioned? And so on. So I think that is it for now. Hope you have an amazing continuing 13-day process. I am doing new moon workshops every month now. She says, that's my intention. So if you want to join me, each month we're going to be building on the previous. Next month's going to be very dynamic, of course, because we're starting the solar wheel. So if you'd like any more information about workshops, join the Red Dragon 52 group. This is for women only because I really focus on women's patterns because they are a reflection of me. And I'm hoping that this community is going to build so we can help each other, because in Lakesh, we all are sharing these processes, these times, this awareness. And the more that we can come together and journey together, then we can birth the new earth. We can create this new dream now. We absolutely can do this now. It's an exciting time to be alive. And so remember, the problems are the solution. In terms of crystals, a great one to get, this is from Avery and from California as well. So it's a combination there with these cages. So there's a ruby in there, and the ruby is about compassion, being really focused on solutions. So letting our emotions guide us rather than our head, because our head often doesn't want to go there. And of course, copper, which is Venus, which is bringing in that shift into our bloodline rather than keeping the Mars blood lineage and coding on a genetic level. And lots going on about that right now, about that coding in the blood. So this is key to know and to transform, transmute, detox. Again, Pisces time, very big gateway, 12th house, just before we're going to go into that solar wheel. It's time to detox. It's time to come into peace and to get ourselves into an optimum, to really be out on the land, be the hero, be the heroine out on the land, living a story full of compassion, full of heart, bravery, courage, be the real you, whatever that is. Lots of love. Bye for now.